Yana, I particularly wanted to ask you in the lead up or in the whole process of organizing the march, if you received hate and harassment online, and if so, how you dealt with that.
Barely. I got
That's
maybe
good.
some. Yeah, I don't know how I've done it, but I've been on the internet since 2007.
Teach me.
I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think about how I've done it, but I've been on the internet since 2007. I've watched a lot of my friends blow up and become popular and get a lot of hate. And I think for me, because I'm not that popular and I never went viral, that I don't get the hate. I get some comments here and there. And when I did share a picture of one of the marchers that had a rainbow shirt, and I think it was like Babes Against Bullies, and they had the Black Lives Matter sign, but it was like a crop top, and she's cute. People, and I also tagged it Black Lives Matter. So it's like, because I tagged it that way, I got a lot of retweets and replies. So I just muted it. So I think for me, how I deal with hate is basically I block, mute. I don't engage. I just let it go. So a lot of times I'm like, oh, I don't get anything, but actually I kind of do. I just mute it really quickly.
Michael, so shout out to Naomi Osaka handling the creeps online. She's been a machine. Yeah, she's been like Ishikawa Yumi levels of blow back and
like the comment section in her tweets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even read all of it. It was so bad.
It was really bad.
No. Half the time I will translate something. People are like, did you read the Ripudan? And I'm like, no, I did not. Because I just know it's going to be awful.
A lot of times too, when I get like really stupid like comments in my ads, I just reply, retweet, and then I have everybody else that follows me attack them because I'm like,
yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
You idiot, that's what I do. That's how I just like watching the fire. I'm just like, oh, thank y'all.
The popcorn.
Yeah, I learned in my first couple blow-ups to like make my filters in Twitter really strict, and so now I only start to see. I really only see crappy comments if A, I look for them, which I've gotten out of the habit of, or B, if one of my followers is like replying and giving somebody else a smackdown, and then I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah. Well, Wakako, you talked a little bit though about your experiences with online harassment because you had received a lot of it. It sounds like when you were active with SEALs, and from the tweet I translated, it sounded like it was a really hard time at one point for you. Do you still deal with that now, and how do you deal with it?
Well, back in 2015, I was. And other members were like super active actually out on the street, protesting, working with like political parties and just doing everything we could. People did not like it. So it's just like I was getting a lot of comments or like backlashes, more than 100, 200, 300 of them like every single day, and including like death threats and everything. So and that's what happens when you speak up in Japan, and especially when you're a woman, it gets even worse. So that ended up turning me into a feminist. So it wasn't all bad, I guess. But I would say suing these people, like I would say that's a good thing to do. But it costs money, and also people are not familiar with the process of that, right? I was having a super hard time dealing with that because nowadays online activism is a big part of activism, whether we like it or not, So being on social media is like inevitable, pretty much, to speak up, to make change. And so, I didn't deal with it well. After SEALs disbanded, most of female members deleted their social media because they couldn't deal with it anymore. But male members still had their social media because it wasn't as bad for them. And also like a lot of people are like, but this is not real, comments are not real, tweets are not real. and like, and it's not as it's not happening in person, so you can't you can't get too much about it because it's only happening on the internet. But the thing is, we do face discrimination, we do suffer from sexism and everything in real life as well. So I think just acknowledging that this is real, and also it's like, oh, you can just delete your Twitter account, but that's not the solution, right? Like, you can just maybe use some other platform, or maybe not use the internet. Like, why do I have to take a step back when they are the one doing something wrong? So yeah, I ended up suing one person actually, but
Ooh.
Yay.
yeah. Still, I mean,
you.
suing like as of right now, but yeah, it's like I just hope that there's more like like people that are like willing to fight with activists online as well, not just on the streets. Like be an like ally, but make it visible that you support these people, you support the movement, and because tweeting is not that hard. So
there was a comment, a tweet I just shared in English. A reporter had said she had several colleagues who are investigating the current resurgence of the right wing in America, and she said she's had several of those reporters come back to her and say, time and again, it all comes back to the Gamergate incident in the West, and that it was ignored at that time. And if it hadn't been ignored at that time, like a lot of the current resurgence of the right wing in the United States could probably have been, if not avoided, then at least severely mitigated. So I like that comment a lot because it highlighted, I think as you were alluding to, Wakako, that there's this inextricable link between right-wing extremism and anti-feminism. And you can't ignore anti-feminism and expect that you're going to be able to ignore or control right-wing extremism. The two go hand in hand.
It is like, and like especially in, well, I can't just say especially in Japan, but at least like from my experience, it's people are so used to objectify women, whether online or in real life, of course, but also like people are so used to seeing that, so it's like it's hard for them to see that it's bad, even because these things in pictures and comments, let's say on TV or in I don't know, like 7-Eleven or on train, like it's everywhere. So it's like it's like so normalized. So like first of all, it's hard to see the problem there. But then when feminists speaks up, all of a sudden they have they see the problem, but they see feminists as a problem. So it's like why are you so angry?
Because
like
they don't want to change. Like it's a comfort level for them. So if they feel like they have to do work and they don't want to, it's like, I've been living like this for so long, it's comfortable. Then they get upset.
Or they have to look and they have to apply labels to themselves. They have to admit, maybe I'm chauvinist, maybe I'm racist, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And for me, it's like, I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. I know I've got racist bits of me. I know because I grew up with racists. My grandparents were racist. It was all around me. It's not, even if you're conscious about avoiding it, you're going to ingrain a lot of it, and you're going to ingrain it in ways that you're not conscious of. And undoing that takes work.
And although I talk about feminism all the time, I literally, I'm studying it now at college, but, and also like experience it every day. Like honestly, until, I got, until the, this Black Lives Matter movement, like this time, I don't think I thought enough about how much Black women suffer every day, and Black trans women suffer every day, because that's something I don't experience. I didn't have to see, and that's exactly why I have to think about it. It's like, okay, it's hard for all women, but with that much of racism, and and this like discrimination towards women. Just think how hard it must be for Black women and Black trans women. Like, but then again, yeah, it's just like up until now, yeah, I don't think I spend enough time thinking about it or like listening to their stories. And it's like, do I feel bad about it? I do a little bit, because really, I talk all that shit, and but I was kind of ignoring that part, So it's like this process is like painful for everyone, but also, just like, but even like being able to say that that's like annoying and painful is privilege. So I hope like, yeah, people just see that, it's like, at least you don't have to experience it. You get to study it,
Well, just the difference between like you and some other people who don't do anything is like you recognize it, you feel it, and then you keep going forward and work to learn even more and help the cause.
I think that's the thing about activism, is that you talk a lot about other people. You talk a lot about oppression, but you don't talk enough about privilege. And you don't look at yourself enough. So actually, like, okay, I'm Japanese, but I'm also half white. So there is a huge layer of privilege that I have that I wasn't looking at, because I was only looking at the oppression side. So I took a hard look at the mirror and I said, okay, use that. Use whatever voice you have and make it count.
Right. I mean, I think for everybody, they all have different levels of privilege. Even for me, as a Black person, I grew up in a pretty middle class family and I was able to come to Japan. There's a lot of Black people who can't do any of that. They can't leave their town or like their state. So I also have to look at myself and my privilege as well and help the cause. But of course, like for me, it's a little bit different than compared to like white privilege or other privilege. But it's just like, if you know yourself and use your privilege to advantage to help others, then it will be fine. You can't just ignore it.
Yeah. So speaking a little bit more about online harassment, I wanted to hop into our next topic on that. So the story of Ito Shiori. I'm sure a lot of Unseen Japan readers and followers already know Ito-san's story, but she was raped by Yamaguchi Noriyuki, went through a grueling process in which her case was basically thrown out, successfully turned around and sued him, and was rewarded compensation and damages in that. In the process of that, though, she has also, as everyone who speaks out usually is, subject to just obscene online harassment. And one of the people who was assailing her was a so-called satiric cartoonist by the name of Hasumi Toshiko, who created a cartoon basically saying that Ito was basically just trying to sleep her way to the top, more or less. So Ito, influenced by the events with Kimura Hana and her tragic death, which was brought on by online bullying, has turned around and has sued Hasumi and sued two other people who have retweeted Hasumi's content as well. It's calling for that cartoon to basically be taken down and for Hasumi to issue an apology, which, judging from Hasumi's recent words and actions, does not look like it will be forthcoming without a court order. So what does everyone think about that, and what do you think about the legal avenue? I know, Wakaku, you just mentioned, that it's kind of like it's an unclear legal process of how you go about suing, people online. And also, of course, there's a cost involved, which if you end up like not getting a favorable judgment, it's basically lost money.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's great that, I shouldn't say great, but it's a good thing that Shiori is suing her now and taking action. It's absolutely necessary, but also it's like, it's obvious that like what Hasumi Toshiko is doing is like absolutely wrong. She's been talking or like drawing, about people that whoever doesn't fit her revisionist agenda, she just goes after them and just do whatever she wants, and she's been getting away with it for too long now. So I think this is good, but at the same time, well, especially like especially with Shiori, like I think it's great, but also we can't expect her to take all the bullets, because like everyone's been saying, yeah, like she's the one started Me Too movement in Japan and everything, and that is great. That's great, but also like stop making people like icons and faces of the movement, because people are so eager to do that. Like people naturally do it so much, but they don't stand up with them enough. So with her and with them enough. So yeah. But I really hope that this case goes well for her, obviously. But yeah, so like, and she, but also like there was a hashtag, like 私は伊藤詩織さんを支持します or something like that, and yeah, and a lot of people tweeted, and some other like cartoonists like draw her pictures too, and yeah, I think that was really cool, and to make it visible, to actually show the support,
Yeah, I know the artist and author of Chihayafuru had done an illustration of Shiori, and she got feedback that we might not want to iconize people, so she actually replaced it with a really cool back shot of a woman who looked like Shiori speaking to a crowd of women. It was really great to see that come out.
Yeah, one thing that I remember when the case was over and she won, there was an interview, and I don't remember her exact words, but I'm paraphrasing. But she said something like, I might have won the case, but I was still hurt. So even if it's a victory, the victory is coming out of pain.
And loss.
So, so I think it's very important not to like iconize it, like to make her an idol, to make her like a figure, like she's a person. And I think it's really important to remember that.
Just to kind of add to the iconism is that back in 2015, around like when Black Lives Matter started, I believe it was that year, a lot of those activists mysteriously died. So it's just like a lot of times people nowadays are trying to not be like all up in, I mean, there still are people, but like just not do as much visibility as before, because in the States especially, I don't know, people find you online and they try to find you in person and mysteriously, or make your death like a mystery or a suicide, quote unquote. So like for me, even though I'm in Japan, I didn't really want to be the spokesperson in Black Lives Matter Kansai. I understand that I have a platform on Twitter and on YouTube and podcasting, so I don't mind doing a lot of not a lot, but some interviews or discussions like this one. But with my group, I had a panic attack, saying like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do interviews because like I don't want to be that person and have my face everywhere. But as time went on and my team was like, here, let's answer frequently asked questions. Let's work together. We're a team. I was able to like calm down and do some of the interviews, and not only me does interviews, there's a couple others. But we understand that some people who approach individuals in our team want to talk to that specific person and not just a spokesperson. But it is kind of a problem that we have in modern times, because religion kind of was like taking a downward, like it's just going down, and not everybody wants to follow a certain religion. That idolism kind of went on the rise, especially online with celebrities and certain politicians and such. So it is an important topic that we should talk about and make sure we don't do that to people as much as we did before.
Well, I think one thing I've seen is that people on the right especially will try to make one person an icon, like an anti-icon, because then they can attack that person, dismiss them, and that's a common tactic for dismissing the person's ideas. I don't know how many times people have personally attacked me for my identity as a white man with some of the stuff I shared in Japanese, and saying like, why should we take you seriously? You're a white dude. And I'm like, that has no bearing on the fact that I just translated a tweet out of Japanese. Listen to what this person is saying. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. But by trying to personalize that, they're like, well, we can attack the person. By attacking the person, we'll dismiss the idea.
Yeah. It's better to have it as a group, because I'm just thinking of like anonymous. People are trying to attack certain people, but it's like anonymous isn't even actually a group. It's like anybody could be anonymous. It's just a message. Or like Trump's trying to like call Antifa. What did he say exactly?
Terrorist organization.
Yeah, it's like it's not a terrorist group. It's an ideology. Like
it's not even a group.
We're not
No.
organized on the left to have a group.
No.
Like actually there was a few like on Japanese Twitter, like a lot of right wingers saying like, yeah, there's a group, it's a soshiki, and I was like, okay, where's the headquarters? What's the phone number? What's the address? Who's the spokesperson? And what's the email address? Because I want to talk to them. I want to join.
Give me their Twitter account, the official Antifa Twitter account.
Exactly.
It's weird. This is a far off thought, and it might just die and not go anywhere. I think back a lot to. I'm actually for once going to bring up an anime in a serious discussion. I think to Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which revolved around the whole concept of the Laughing Man. But the whole concept of that series was there's basically like this online group that was like, connected to the cybernet in everybody's heads. And they were trying to find like, the head or the locus of it. And they never could, because it didn't have a head or a locus. It was an idea. And yet like this idea had spread, throughout the network. And there was no way to kind of get control of it after that. And I think about that a lot because we're living it. That is exactly the world that we're living right now. We live in a world of memes and ideas and viral culture where, there no longer is necessarily, it's not about organizations. It's about, these waves of ideas that people are writing.
Which can also be dangerous because there's a lot of spread of misinformation or, intentional misinformation as well.
Yeah. And it becomes we get the world that we have right now, which is a world of basically information warfare.
Yeah. And just like headlines that call your attention but are not necessarily accurate because they want the clicks.
Yeah.
Especially in like media that it's not exactly media.
Yeah, like I think it's good that everyone gets to, speak their mind, especially with social media. And, as much as I don't really want to be on social media, I think online activism is important. And that's not going anywhere. But at the same time, especially like on not just on Twitter, but on Twitter or like Instagram or whatever, people just get tricked by like numbers so easily. It's just like, oh, this tweet has like 30,000 retweets, must be saying something important. Not necessarily. Oh, this person and this person has like 100,000 followers, so that person must be someone. But it's just like, so the people just don't think further than that anymore. Because oh, this is said by this person, so that must be accurate, that must be true, that must be important. But they can never even care to have time to just digest that information. So I think that's also why like these trolls are like so active. And often they stay anonymous when while activists show their faces and names and what they're about. And so
I read somewhere like the Japanese accounts are way more likely to be anonymous.
I think it's 70% or something like that.
Which is like, why are you hiding? Like, why are you so afraid of saying what you have to say?
I mean, since I've been in Japan, and there was Mixi at the point I came.
That's an old
meme. Everybody had like a picture of a cat, a scenery. No one put their faces, but on my side, using Facebook, everybody put their faces. So the concept of using Facebook was very new to Japan. But even when they did sign up for Facebook, they still did the Mixi thing where they don't really show their face. And then that also bled into Twitter. And Twitter became more popular with Japanese more than Facebook because of, I don't know, maybe accessibility or like just how like you can just write words and it's not necessarily connecting with people like it is in Facebook. you just say whatever you want to say. Basically, the tsubuki, I forgot what it is in Japanese. That part in Mixi was just put in Twitter, and everyone's like, "Oh, I like this part in Mixi. I'm just gonna go to Twitter."
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, people not showing their faces or, you know, like revealing their identity or something, because they can't risk their life. They not that somebody's gonna kill them or anything, but you know, they could lose their jobs. That was one of like the most common things that people told us, member of SEALs, you know, as students, like, oh, you can't get a job. Like you can't get a job if you did that. You can't talk about anything, you know, related to politics here, or, you know, you can't leave anything on the internet, or because companies do, you know, check your social media. So you know, when a lot of students are doing shukatsu, then they, you know, change their accounts to like private, or just, you know, be really, because that's just what we have to do. And that's why activism is like not too active in Japan.
I mean, the same thing happens in the States for sure, but we have companies checking accounts or your accounts, and we have people getting fired. But I think it has to be something more cultural, because shame culture in Japan is a lot stronger than it is in the States.
Yeah.
And we're also very individualistic, and ego boosting is like something people like. So it's like, I'll put my face on here. But again, trolls don't want to do that, so that's
real world community backlash in Japan can be pretty harsh, and can really tank your life. I wonder, I think a lot about like, can anything else be done in terms of like online abuse? Honestly, I think and I keep mulling over certain ideas, which all have their pros and their cons as well. I think one of the massive problems with particularly Twitter is how easy it is to simply regen an account and come back online. Like if you're somebody who has like 100,000 followers, obviously you're going to be scared about, you know, risking that account and losing it, because, you know, in this day and age, that's something of value that you'll lose. You know, but if you're, you know, anti-feminist dude with an anime AVI and -3 followers, and Twitter strikes down your account, there's like nothing stopping you from regenerating another account or another account or another account. Like the same people, the same like kind of troll army can just kind of recycle itself over and over. And I don't know of a good way to kind of address that without being like discriminatory against people who might like find it hard to have IDs, for example, or who might be worried about sharing like that kind of detailed personal information with the likes of Twitter or Facebook, where it could easily get stolen. I think it's a hard problem to crack, but I also don't see any indication that Twitter or Facebook give a damn about even trying to crack it.
I was thinking for a long time about limitations. So for example, if you're a new account, you have like a limited number of tweets or of replies or retweets or likes that you can give. And then as you grow, if people don't mass report you because you're being abusive, as you grow, like 1 month, okay, then you get double the amount of likes. That is only, for example, if you're not willing to share your phone number, or if you don't want to verify your account. So if you want to stay anonymous, at least you need to go through some hoops. And like, so that people can guarantee that you are not a troll. But hey, Twitter, you listening?
Yeah.
Right? I was just thinking that.
Yeah, the forum software I use, Discourse, actually has something like that. You have a trust level system. You start out at trust level 1, and you have very limited interaction. And the amount of interaction you can have grows as you do certain tasks or as you get physically promoted. With any of those systems, I always think back to the cases of people like, you know, Black Rose Sachi, who, you know, like feminists in online who get banned for the stupidest reasons. Like this one feminist called somebody Karen, and they permanently banned her account for it, and she had to start over from scratch.
I got banned for saying bruh.
Yeah, you got a 7-day wrist slap,
for saying
right?
bruh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
That was hate speech, apparently. Saying bruh was hate speech. Which is like, Okay. So I have a lot of angry issues. That's why, like, I need to be creative when I insult people.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of those creative insults. It's good.
I mean, that's fun to make. They're fun to invent, but at the same time, like, if you're not inspired and you want to like call somebody an asshole, then it's like you. Next.
Jay said I got banned on Facebook for posting "men are trash."
Oh my god!
That phrase itself will get you banned instantly, no matter who says it.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. Wow.
I cannot say it. I'm afraid of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even calling people bruh in real life anymore ever since you got that ban. So it's definitely had its effect.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even have that many followers back then.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it's like 2,000 tops?
Yeah.
So suddenly Brian banned. It's like, what?
Oh Lord. Yeah. I wonder. I don't really use bruh in typing, but now I wonder if I don't get banned too.
I don't know. Maybe it's hate speech for all I know.
Do a quick search after this and delete all your past tweets.
I should do that.
Is it wrong to hate the patriarchy? No.
No. Well, according to some Twitter moderators, it is. I've kept everything.